Hello there and welcome to yet another edition of Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 8th of April 2024. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Dithini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Anurakumara ready to debate with Sajith Premadasa. Dr. Nalinda will coordinate the debate. SLFP Politburo meets and appoints Nimal Siripala as acting chairman. Acting SLFP General Secretary says Politburo meeting not legal. SLPP and GL have taken control of SJB, says President. SJB's Samagi Buddhi Mandapaya held in Colombo. Air Force rugby player killed in police fire. Another shooting in Gampaha results in a death. Activists meet the Trade Minister to demand an end to exploitation from essentials.
Wins the debate.
The prospect of an open debate between Sajith Premadasa and Anurakumara Dissanayake has become a focal point in Sri Lankan politics.
As the anticipation grows, let's delve into the latest developments surrounding this significant event.
National People's Power leader Anurakumara Dissanayake expressed his willingness to engage in a debate with Sajith Premadasa during an inquiry by Newsfirst. Anurakumara mentioned that Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa would oversee the coordination of these efforts. He extended the invitation for Sajith Premadasa's team to nominate a representative to facilitate and prepare for the debate. Meanwhile, Sunil Hadunetti has accepted the challenge presented to the National People's Power's Economic Council for an economic policy debate. However, he stressed on the importance of a debate specifically between the two presidential candidates. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has also accepted the invitation for a debate. In response to an inquiry by Newsfirst, Premadasa clarified that the Samagi Jana Balawega is yet to appoint a coordinator for the debate. He emphasized the need to avoid unnecessary complications and assured that proper arrangements would be made in due course.
Wins the election.
Duminda Dissanayake, the national organizer of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, announced that the party's political committee appointed Nimal Siripala De Silva as the acting chairman of the SLFP.
However, Dushmantha Mitrapala, the acting general secretary of the party, expressed reservations about this appointment, citing that it does not align with the party's constitution. The Politburo of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party convened at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute after the meeting was called for by SLFP Senior Vice Chairman Nimal Siripala De Silva. Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga also attended this meeting.
ඔබතුමිය අද සන්තෝෂෙන් නේද? මම හැමදාම සන්තෝෂයි. ප්ලීස්. මේ වැඩගත් මිනිස්සු පාරේ ඉඳගෙන ඉන්ටර්විව් කරනකොට කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක හරියට ඉන්ටර්විව් එකක් ඉල්ලන්නේ ඒක දෙන්න. ඔබතුමියට චෝදනා කරන මෛත්‍රී පාලසිංහ ෂේත්‍රතුමා. මීඩියා නවුස්.
As per the official document signed during the recent Politburo meeting, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's Politburo comprises 15 members. They are Maithripala Sirisena, Sarathi Dushmantha Mitrapala, Hector Bethmage, Attorney at Law Keer Tudavatta, Professor Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa, Dr. Chamila Liyanage, President's Counsel Faiza Mustafa, KP Gunawardana, Nimal Siripala De Silva, Veerakumara Dissanayake, Sajin Divas Gunawardana, Sarath Ekanaike, Metsiri De Silva, Indika Rajapaksa and Lakmal Wickremarachi. However, Duminda Dissanayake asserts that according to documents submitted to the Election Commission, only 11 members actively participate in the party's Politburo. He said that during today's meeting, 6 of these members were in attendance.
අපි නිමල් සිරිපාල සිල්වා මැතිතුමාව පක්ෂයේ
Nimal Siripala de Silva was selected as the acting chairman of the party. It was important to include the participation of Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga into the Politburo at this crucial time. It was not a formal invitation, but she provided us with advice and played an observational role in the Politburo. We hope to include a clause on leadership into the party's constitution. It was also decided that I would be vested with the duties of the party's secretary, given the fact that the party's general secretary did not act legally.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga said she would support to uplift the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
I said I will not contest the 2015 presidential election. Then the SLFP General Secretary was brought forward. However, he too ruined the country and the party. That error was rectified today.
President's Counsel Faiza Mustafa said that the appointment of Nimal Siripala as acting chairman is legal.
The party constitution was followed in all matters. When the party leader has a restraining order against him, the Politburo will have to appoint an acting chairman. The power is vested with the Politburo.
නෛතික ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැති නිසා තමයි අපි මේ පත්වීම කරේ. එතුමා පිළිගන්නේද මේක? මෛත්‍රීපාල මම හිතන්නේ එතුමා පිළිගැනීමක් නෙවෙයි පක්ෂ ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මණ්ඩල තීන්දුවක් ගත්තා.
The Politburo that met today also extended an invitation to the Maithripala Sirisena faction to work together.
There is no requirement to remain in one post. We invite Maithripala Sirisena, Dayasiri Jayasekara and others to work with us.
Acting General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dushmantha Mitrapala, says the meeting convened today was illegal.
අද දින කිසිම දේශපාලන මණ්ඩල රැස්වීමක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ පැවැත්වුණේ නැහැ.
No such Politburo meeting of the SLFP was held today. As the General Secretary, I have not convened the Politburo. Our party constitution clearly states that Politburo meetings cannot be held without the participation of the chairman. The Politburo is convened by the General Secretary upon the instructions of the chairman. Moreover, only 2 to 3 Politburo members have attended that meeting. It is clear that Chandrika and her group are attempting to stage a political conspiracy by taking advantage of the enjoining order issued against Maithripala Sirisena.
වාරණ නියෝගය උපයෝගී කරගෙන දේශපාලන කුමන්ත්‍රණයක් කරන්න තමයි මේ කණ්ඩායම චන්ද්‍රිකා මැතිණිය ඇතුළු කණ්ඩායම උත්සාහ දරන්නේ.
Former General Secretary of the SLFP, Attorney at Law Dayasiri Jayasekara, had also convened a media briefing today.
The party constitution clearly defines the Politburo as the apex body. It even allows the powers of the Central Working Committee to be excised by the Politburo. The Politburo consists of 15 members. Its consistency is made up of the party's chairman, General Secretary and 13 other members chosen from the Central Working Committee. No one who is not part of the Central Working Committee can be in the Politburo. It cannot convene without the presence of the chairman, either because the chairman of the party becomes the chairman of the Politburo by virtue. The General Secretary becomes the secretary of the Politburo by virtue as well. Therefore, any meeting held without the presence of the chairman or the secretary is illegal. There are 7 senior vice chairmen in the SLFP and 6 of them have been appointed. As a senior vice chairman, Nimal Siripala de Silva has no right to forward letters to the secretary and convene the Politburo because there is no clause in the constitution to that effect.
ජේෂ්ඨ සභාපතිවරයා විදියට නිමල් සිරිපාල මැතිතුමාට අයිතියක් නැහැ කාටවත් ලිපි ඇරලා ලේකම්ට ලිපි ඇරලා දේශපාලන මණ්ඩලයේ කැඳවන්න කියන මොකද එහෙම ප්‍රතිපාදනයක් මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ කොතනවත් නැහැ.
Today, the Colombo District Court issued an interim injunction extension preventing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's executive committee from removing 3 key officials, Duminda Disanayaka, Lasantha Alagiyawanna and Mahinda Amaravira, from their respective positions within the party. This extension is effective until the 24th of April. The order was made on Chairman of the SLFP, former President Maithripala Sirisena, Acting Secretary Sarathi Dushmantha Mitrapala, Senior Vice President Nimal Siripala de Silva, Vice President Attorney at Law Faiza Mustafa and Mahiyangana Electorate Organizer KP Gunawardana.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe met political activists of the United National Party and the local government collective of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna in Kandy yesterday.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe met a group of United National Party activists in the Kandy district yesterday at the President's house in Kandy. The head of state claimed the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna and MP GL Peiris have a hold on the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
අපි 20 ඡන්දෙදි කිව්වා අද ආර්ථික අර්බුදයක් තියෙන ඩොලර් බිලියන 3ක් අපිට උවමනයි මේකෙන් ජීවත් වෙන්න.
At the 2020 election, we said we need $3 billion to survive an economic crisis. The SLPP gave promises to win the presidential election. The UMP did not join them. The party was divided. Some left to the SJB with Sajith Premadasa. It is regrettable that I protected the party when attempts were made to divide the party during his father's time. If the party was not divided, we would have at least won 85 to 90 seats. We could have formed a government with them. Why couldn't we get government power, and why are some of us in the opposition today? It is because the party was divided. Who caused the division? They could have joined us after they formed a separate party. When I became Prime Minister, I invited them to support me, but they didn't do so. A presidential election came around and we faced a severe crisis in this country. The situation had to be brought under control. I was supposed to be made President before Prime Minister. Initially, the SJB wanted the presidency for the opposition leader. Thereafter, they wanted the leader of the UNP to be the president and wanted the prime ministerial post with those who left the SLPP. A minority opposed it and said the SLPP should support a member of the SLPP. It was chairman of the SLPP, GL Peiris, who said that. He then joined the opposition and wanted a candidate to be named from the SLPP. Former Minister Dallas Alahappirama was named. What did Sajith and the SJB do? They were prepared to become Prime Minister in a SLPP government. The SJB and its chairman named their candidate. What would happen if they joined us and we were united? At the time, they wanted anyone from the SLPP to take up this post. Initially, the SJB refused the post. We have united and solved this issue. The SJB was in conflict with us in the past, but we united for the country. The country's economy has gradually returned to normalcy. What are they doing now? In the past, they said they were the UNP without Sirikota. They said they will take over Sirikota when they get power. What happened now? They've formed an alliance and GL Peiris and the SLPP have taken over the SJB. Who was with Sajith on that day? It was only Ranjit Madhuma Bandara from the UNP. Was Gayantha, Thalata, Kabir or any other UNP member there? Naming a UNP member there is a more difficult task than Kisa Gautami's task to find the mustard seed. When they are under GL Peiris, how can they say they are the UNP? This is a lie. The UNP is the people who accept DS Senanayaka's party, those who joined J.R. Jayawardena in 77 and those who protected Premadasa's government in 89. This is our party. This is the UNP.
J.R. Jayawardena මැතිතුමා 77 ගියාය 89 ප්‍රේමදාස ජනාධිපති ආණ්ඩුව ආරක්ෂා කරපු අයට මෙතනයි ඔබේ පක්ෂය. මේකයි එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය.
Issuing a statement, the President's media division said a meeting was held in Kandy yesterday, during which the SLPP local government collective expressed their support to the President. As mayors and chairmen, we are committed to extend our support to you for the presidential election and for the country. We take the responsibility to ensure your victory. We propose that you contest the upcoming presidential election. We will support you. It is a common proposal.
Sri Lankan opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that he believes in capitalism with a human face. He was speaking at an event in Colombo. The National Conference and the Policy Dialogue Forum 2024 of the largest academic gathering of Sri Lanka, Samagi Buddhi Mandapaya, took place in Colombo.
Approximately half of the country are suffering from abject poverty. The need of the hour is to initiate a national program that promotes poverty alleviation. Any poverty alleviation program must include 5 major elements in order to make it a success. It should promote investment, take care of consumption needs, promote production, enhance savings, and try to act as a catalyst to promote exports. We in Samagi Jana are not proponents of the extreme right wing nor the extreme left wing ideology. We believe in social democracy. We firmly believe that wealth can only be created by capitalism. But such capitalism has to be, we sincerely believe in capitalism with a human face. We also reject statism, command control system, communism, and extreme socialism as a prescription for the ills in our society. We also believe that social democratic ideals and certain socialist ideals are important in establishing social justice, getting rid of inequalities in our society. This is the way forward.
Dr. Surjit S. Balla, a former member of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Economic Advisory Council, also spoke at the event.
First and foremost, growth helps. What helps even more is the persistence of growth. The Indian economy has enjoyed a per capita economic growth of at least 5% per annum since 1991. As comparison, and that which we hear of often, is China's growth rate for the same period was not that much higher. But over 30 years, this excess makes a difference, a rather important aspect of what determines growth. And clearly, the standard answer, the neoclassical answer, is what determines growth is labor, is capital, and is technology. And labor is further divided into education or human capital and physical or unskilled labor. Now, what is very interesting in the present election in India is the narrative, and this is welcome to the new world order, welcome to the new political order in the world. No matter what country you go to which is having elections, narratives are playing a very important role.
The objective of the event was to discuss and outline scientific and practical policies to rebuild Sri Lanka.
Political stability by design. It has to be designed. When you look at some East and South Asian countries, the single party ruled for a long time. In Singapore, People's Action Party is still ruling, but this is not going to work for Sri Lanka. What Sri Lanka needs is a framework for policy continuity regardless of which party is in power. Policy framework. Everybody agrees on a policy framework. For example, private sector-driven open economy, that is the policy frame. So everybody has to stick to that. So like that, Sri Lanka has to work out a framework for policy continuity. Singapore set up Economic Development Board very early on to spearhead the economy, headed by very competent people. So their roles change over the years, but the main work of that body remains still today. Attracting foreign direct investment and helping Singapore investment overseas, building up entrepreneurship.
Wins the election.
Leader of the Pivituru Helurumaya, MP Uday Gammanpila, commented on forming alliances targeting the upcoming presidential election.
Discussions are underway on forming alliances with many factions coming together with us. Those discussions are still ongoing. The May Day will be a day of revelations on forming such alliances. You can expect new alliances and candidates to emerge in the months of May or July.
අනිවාර්යෙන් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔබතුමාත් සමගි ජන බලවේගයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ඉදිරි ජනාධිපතිවරණය තරඟ කරන්න සූදානම් තියෙනවා.
We have not held any discussions to form an alliance with the SJB.
Wins the election.
What does the future hold for the Freedom People's Congress? This is what Member of Parliament Gunapala Ratnasekara had to say.
ඉතින් සමහරව සන්දානගත උනන්නේ ඇත්තටම සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ පක්ෂ සමාජිකත්වයට ගත්තා කියලා අපිට තොරතුරු තියෙනවා සමහර අය.
We are hearing stories that they did not join an alliance but took up membership of the SJB instead. We allowed 6 of our members to make a decision they like. The Freedom People's Congress will function and it will be headquartered here in Navala. But remember, the best part of the Perahara comes later into the event. Those who are truly invested in the Perahara will know enough to focus more on what happens next.
A protest was held to oppose fraud from essential goods and also demanding for a chairman to be appointed to the Consumer Affairs Authority.
The demonstration was held with the participation of many civil organizations, including the People's Collective for Economic Justice and National Civil Organization Front. The group had a set of coconut palm branches in their possession.
මේ අලුත් සභාපතිතුමාට යන්න දෙන්න කරුණා කරලා අනේ මේ පොලිසිය මහත්තයෝ මේ සභාපතිනේ මම මේ වෙලඳ අපි යන්න එපා අතුරට වෙන්දක් නම් ID ඉල්ලන්නේ නැහැ නේ සභාපති මේක සභාපති නෑනේ අතර අපි මෙන්න මේ පොල් පිටේ සභාපති ධූරයයි අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරාල් ධූරයයි පුරවන්න යන්නේ ජනතාව විදියට ඒක කරන්න අපිට දෙන්න.
Although the group later attempted to meet the Minister of Trade, Nalin Fernando, they were obstructed by the police. The group were allowed to discuss with Minister of Trade Nalin Fernando thereafter.
There is an acting chairperson. She was appointed 2 weeks ago. A chairman can be appointed. An acting chairperson also carries out the same functions and holds the same responsibilities.
News First with the people.
Life is a collection of moments. When you're tired and you reached your limit. When you're hurt and everything brings you down. When you're happy and nothing can bring you down. Life is a collection of moments. Jones Gold Blend Tea. For life's every moment.
ඔසප්‍රීම ඔබේ සෞඛ්‍ය කොටසක්. ඉතින් ඇයි ඔබය ඔබේ පවුලේ අයගෙන් හංගන්නේ? ඊවා විශ්වාසයෙන් පෙරමුණේ.
Welcome back to the news. Sri Lanka reported a foreign remittances surge, with the country's Labour Minister reporting 8.7% increase in first quarter.
At the same time, Indonesia hopes to sign the Sri Lanka Trade Pact next March. The Newsfirst finance report has all the details.
The Newsfirst finance report.
Sri Lankan expatriates contribute $572.4 million to economy.
Labour and Foreign Employment Minister Manusha Nanayakkara reported a significant surge in remittances sent by foreign workers to Sri Lanka during the first quarter of this year. The total amount reached approximately $1.53 billion, marking an 8.7% increase compared to the previous year. In March alone, Sri Lankan expatriates contributed $572.4 million to the country's economy. Since assuming office in May 2022, Minister Nanayakkara has overseen a substantial influx of remittances totaling $10,263.8 million. The Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment has actively facilitated legal channels for expatriate workers to remit funds to Sri Lanka through the banking system.
Indonesia hopes to sign Sri Lanka Trade Pact next March.
Indonesia is seeking to sign its trade pact with Sri Lanka by next March, while hoping that 1 year of negotiations is enough to close the deal. It has only been a few weeks since Indonesia and Sri Lanka agreed to formally discuss the preferred trade agreement. The first round of negotiations already took place virtually early last week, which zeroed in on the work plan and draft agreement text. The negotiators are set to enter more substantial chapters in the coming rounds. The second round of talks is scheduled to take place in Colombo on the 19th and 20th of June. Both countries will discuss the text concept as well as market access. Indonesia-Sri Lanka trade was valued at $369.7 million throughout 2023. About $326.6 million of the trade figures were Indonesian exports to Sri Lanka. In January 2024 alone, the bilateral trade amounted to $23.5 million.
Sri Lanka and Estonia conclude inaugural bilateral talks.
Sri Lanka and Estonia convened the inaugural bilateral political consultations at senior official level in Colombo. The consultations focused on consolidating bilateral relations and identify new areas for cooperation between the two countries. Potential for both public and private sector collaborations in ICT and e-governance was the high point of the discussion, as Estonia is renowned for its expertise in these sectors. A memorandum of understanding in e-governance is being negotiated between the two countries for further consolidating the partnership. The discussion also considered strengthening collaboration in green development, tourism, education, technical assistance, and capacity building.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe inaugurated the flyover spanning the railway line linking Kompanna Veediya with Justice Akbar Mawatha and Uttarananda Mawatha today.
The rest of the construction work on this project is planned to be completed by September. The estimated amount for the entire project is 5.2 billion rupees. According to the President's Media Division, it has been observed that nearly 3 hours of time is wasted daily due to the railway crossing located in the Kompanna Veediya area. Therefore, the flyover is being constructed to avoid this delay.
A Sri Lanka Air Force corporal who was attached to the Sri Lanka Air Force rugby pool lost his life in a police shootout at a roadblock in the Padukka area.
Police spokesperson, DIG and Attorney-at-Law Nihal Thalduwa said that the deceased corporal was suspected to be the main gunman involved in the double murder that occurred yesterday in Horana.
A 33-year-old Air Force member, Corporal Dilantha Lakman Rajapaksa, lost his life in the shooting incident. Dilantha was a member of the Air Force rugby pool, a team comprising officers from the Western Province South Crimes Division alongside a contingent of Special Task Force officers conducted a visit to his residence located in the Miriyagala area of Padukka at around 2 a.m. today. It was reported by the authorities that Dilantha was not present at his residence during the time of the visit.
My son was asleep. Then my husband heard a noise. They said they were from the police. They asked for my son, but he was not in bed. I told him not to get up.
The police visited our residence at around 2 a.m. They had entered the house because we do not close the door. I woke up and there was a police officer with a weapon. He told me to be seated and I complied. They searched everything. They noted that the house was searched. My son was in the rugby team, so he was always in and out of the house for practices. After thoroughly inspecting the premises, the police reported that they also conducted vehicle checks using roadblocks set up from the Angamo area in Padukka. According to a Newsfirst correspondent, the police conducted the vehicle search approximately 2 kilometers away from Dilantha's residence. During the operation, Dilantha, who arrived on a motorcycle around 4:15 in the morning, allegedly attempted to resist and even fired at the police. Sri Lanka police said that officers opened fire and Dilantha, who sustained injuries, was rushed to the Padukka hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. Authorities discovered a locally manufactured pistol at the scene of the shooting. The police clarified that the operation was prompted by intelligence indicating that the deceased was connected to the double homicide that took place a day earlier in Moragahahena. The gruesome incident in Moragahahena on the 7th of April involved assailants who arrived in a car shooting at 2 individuals travelling in a three-wheeler. The victims of this shooting were 2 men who were charged with theft and they were gunned down while returning from the Ratnapura police. However, the family members of the Air Force Corporal contest that aside from the motorcycle found at the scene, none of the other items belonged to Dilantha. On Sunday morning, he was at our house. He left home in the morning to accompany a friend on the highway, only making a brief stop at another friend's house nearby. It was during this time that the police arrived. He has never been arrested for anything. He was serving in the Air Force and had a good name among the villagers. We were shocked to learn in the early hours that he had been shot and killed, yet there were no grounds for his arrest. They had simply shot at him. The slippers found at the scene do not belong to him. The helmet found at the scene does not belong to him. It was simply on the bike. His sandals are still at home. He had his meal and then went to bed around 8:30. Perhaps a friend called and he left thereafter. Regardless of his whereabouts, he always returns home in the morning to head to work. The information disclosed indicates that the deceased individual is connected to the shooting incident along with a person residing overseas. The person overseas is named Sampath. Notably, the house where Sampath's wife and children currently reside is owned by the deceased individual. Furthermore, the individual residing abroad purchased the house and transferred ownership to the deceased. Detectives have uncovered details suggesting that the individual portrayed the transaction as a rental agreement. Additionally, it has been revealed that a Toyota car was utilized in the incident and the deceased individual was also implicated in acquiring the vehicle for the shooting. The Sri Lanka Air Force had launched an inquiry into the incident that took place in Paduka on Monday morning involving an SLFP corporal attached to Air Force Rugby pool at a police checkpoint, which resulted in his death. Group Captain Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Director Media Air Force, said that the commander of the Air Force has initiated an inquiry into the incident.
A 34-year-old man lost his life in a shooting in the Katugastara area of Markevita, Gampaha. The assailants, riding a motorcycle, opened fire at the victim around 4 p.m. today. The deceased was identified as the owner of a vehicle repair shop.
The Movement for People's Struggle convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
The
country is facing many issues. As the month of April approaches, the previous crisis has intensified. Amidst all these issues, the governor of the central bank, the president and the ministers say the economy is stable and the rupee has strengthened. Whose economy has stabilized amidst all these issues? This economy is stable for capitalists, politicians, Ranil Wickremesinghe and Mahinda Rajapaksa. But the economy is not stable for the people of the country. The people of this country cannot afford meals. That's why we have organized protests across the country on the 9th of April against the tax burden, prices of goods, IMF conditions, Indian expansionism and oppressive laws.
A group of vendors said they were cleared out of the Goldface green for Independence Day celebrations and they haven't been allowed to continue their businesses since.
Vendors who used to operate at Goldface Green gathered at the site to express their issues.
We were
not allowed to engage in trade here after the 4th of February Independence Day celebrations. We have no objection to developing and keeping the Goldface Green clean. A group of traders are facing injustice based on this because some are allowed to engage in trade while others are not. This is unfair. Amidst an economic crisis, these traders are facing injustice. We request the President and Subject Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva to inform the relevant coordinating officers to provide justice to these traders and mobile cart vendors.
ජංගම කරත්ත වෙලෙන්දොන්ට සාධාරණ කිෂ්ඨ සිද්ධ කරන්න දෙන්න කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
I have been engaging in this trade here since 1990. They wanted us to clear this area for Independence Day. They kicked us out and didn't allow us to continue our business thereafter. I have Vade carts. They removed our name signs and kicked us out. The port built several shops and those were distributed unfairly. They weren't given to the old vendors. It was given to outsiders. 10 to 15 of us are out. Our families are struggling to survive. We had to pawn our gold and jewelry. We urged the subject minister and the president to direct attention to this and allow us to continue our businesses within the Goldface Green.
ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ සම්බන්ධව අවධානය යොමු කරලා මේ අරිදේ හරියට කරලා අපිට ඇතුලේ බිස්නස් කරන්න වෙළඳාම් කරන්න ගාලු මෝදල පිටිය නැවතත් මේ ඉන්න වෙළඳුන්ට වෙළඳාම් කරන්න දෙන්න කියලා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
The fishermen of Jaffna alleged that the Tamil Nadu government and the Indian central government are actively involved in multiple endeavours to assert their authority over Sri Lanka concerning the Kachathiu issue.
Indo-Lanka fishing controversy.
Y. Gopalaswamy, chairman of MDMK, asserts that Kachatiyo belongs to India from its inception. From the outset, I have emphasized in Parliament that Kachatiyo is rightfully ours. Ramanathapuram is historically affiliated with our monarchy, constituting our inherent land and island. My stance remains resolute. It is imperative for this assertion to receive unanimous endorsement in both houses of Parliament. Subsequently, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu initiated legal proceedings in the Supreme Court, a move supported by the DMK. Therefore, the judiciary holds the prerogative to adjudicate on this matter. This issue warrants unanimous approval in both legislative chambers. No entity possesses the authority to cede even an inch of Indian territory to another nation.
Indo-Lanka fishing controversy.
Irrespective of the motivations behind their statements, both the central government of India and the government of Tamil Nadu are keenly focused on asserting their influence in Sri Lanka. Tamil Nadu's government has consistently pressed on this matter, particularly during incidents involving the detention of Indian fishermen, persistently advocating for the retrieval of Kachatiyo. Hence, whether it is the Tamil Nadu government or the Indian government, it is deemed unacceptable for them to continue to exploit this issue for political gains, trivializing the concerns of Tamil Nadu's fishermen and treating this matter lightly.
Taking a look back at news from here at home, the APAD Swift Water Search and Rescue Skill Level Training 2024 to enhance emergency response capabilities took place in Vallavaya.
Did you know that Sri Lanka has a skilled team of elite search and rescue operators? This 160-plus elite unit is formed by the armed forces, Sri Lanka life-saving and private sector personnel, including media. The Asia-Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management conducted a comprehensive swift water search and rescue skill-level training in the Handappa-Nagala Vawa in Vallavaya. The training featured some of the grueling tests that a search and rescue operator must undergo, including boat capsize drills, IRB maneuvering, and IRB rescue. This training is not just for skills enhancement, but also an opportunity for search and rescue team members to network, share knowledge, and collectively contribute towards bolstering disaster management efforts in the region. The APAD Search and Rescue team is highly trained in swift water and technical rope rescue, consisting of individuals who have completed Level 1 and Level 2 certification. The team is trained by instructors from the International Rescue Instructors Association from Japan and are fully equipped with internationally accredited equipment, ensuring the safety and security of the team members. The team is nationally accredited by the Disaster Management Centre and are in the forward positioning of the Disaster Management Centre emergency response teams. With unwavering resolve, the APAD Search and Rescue team stands ready to face upcoming challenges and contribute to the safety and security of all. A special iftar was organised in Colombo yesterday.
Civil activists organised an iftar at the Torrington Square in Colombo yesterday. Dr. Zuhair Ibn Zaid, the ambassador of Palestine to Sri Lanka, also attended the event. The interfaith iftar was open to all, with an invitation also extended to the Colombo Municipal Council workers.
Mozambique ferry disaster kills more than 90. Brazilian judge orders probe of Elon Musk. China conducts combat patrols.
Juad, how about we look at some news coming in from the African continent on the world today. Now, more than 90 people have died after a ferry sank off the north coast of Mozambique. Officials in Nampula province said 5 people had been rescued of the 130 believed to have been on board.
Yes, Hashini. Now, they were fleeing a cholera outbreak and many children were among the dead. Now, the boat was apparently traveling from Lunga to Mozambique Island off the coast of Nampula.
Nampula province has been one of the worst affected by the cholera outbreak, which has spread over several countries in southern Africa since January last year. Now, according to UNICEF, the current outbreak is the worst in 25 years. Since October 2023, Mozambique has reported 13,700 confirmed cases and 30 deaths.
And Harshini, now shifting your attention to Elon Musk. Now, someone who has been on headlines ever since he took over X, formerly known as Twitter. A Brazilian judge has opened an investigation on Elon Musk for obstruction of justice after the tech mogul said he would defy a court order to remove X accounts accused of spreading disinformation. Now, Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes said the probe will examine whether Musk, who owns X, engaged in obstruction, criminal organization and incitement.
Jawad, the judge also said that X would face fines of $19,770 per day for each account reinstated in defiance of the court order. Now, the order came after Musk attacked the judge on X following an announcement by the platform that it had been ordered to block certain accounts. Jawad, let's shift our focus to China. Now, China conducted combat patrols on Sunday, the 7th of April, in the South China Sea. The same day, the Philippines and the United States, Japan and Australia held their first joint drills in the disputed water. The maritime activities took place days before US President Joe Biden was due to hold the first trilateral summit with the leaders of the Philippines and Japan, with growing tensions over the hotly contested South China Sea on the agenda.
Now, Beijing's People's Liberation Army's Southern Theatre Command said it was organizing joint naval and air combat patrols in the South China Sea. The Philippine military said its drills with the United States, Australia and Japan demonstrated the participating countries' commitment to strengthen regional and international cooperation in support of a free and open Indo-Pacific through interoperability exercises in the maritime domain. And Harshini, with that, we wrap up the world today. For the Newsfirst team, I've been Jawad Abdin.
And I'm Harshini Pathirana, and it's back to the studios.
Gets the 6. With that 6, he reaches to his 150 as well.
What a player, the lead 500. Sri Lanka 408.
Who is the hardest geezer? Russell Cook was declared the first man to run the length of Africa. Now, how did he do this? Here is a snippet of his run.
My name's Russ Cook and I'm attempting to become the first person ever to run the entire length of Africa.
Extreme marathon runner Russ Cook completed his run across the entire length of Africa in Tunisia on Sunday after travelling through 16 countries with 352 odysseys, including being robbed at gunpoint and suffering food poisoning. Cook started his adventure last April at Africa's most southerly point, the South African village of Agulhas, and proceeded up the continent's west coast, running a total of over 16,000 kilometers. The 27-year-old passed through Namibia, Angola, Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Guinea, Senegal, Mauritania and Algeria before arriving at Ras Angela on Sunday evening.
Okay, one final push to get this thing done. But you seem so calm and relaxed with all the energy. Yeah, I've had a few tears this morning, so I've got it out of my system. But yeah, I'm just trying to make sure we're going the right way. Does anyone know?
That we end this edition of Newsfirst Sports Roundup. I'll see you soon with another edition.
With the international and sports rounds up, we conclude tonight's edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jama Ratnayaka.
And I'm Dithmini De Silva. Thank you and good night.